This is take 97 of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, the review. So, full spoilers ahead. God damn, this book is gorgeous. As you guys can tell, I've put a lot of different bookmarks in here about just small things I wanted to touch on. But this book is Sanderson plus Cosmere, which means Sanderson equals Cosmere plus The Matrix, influenced by Eastern tropes and basically anime. So, tropes, let's just dive straight into that one. Tropes, it's like the most anime thing to have your two love interests, your two main characters so close together, and every single time they touch they have this electrifying moment of like, oh my god, I can't but in anime it's like this, like, since a lot of anime is set in high school settings, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I touched his hand, or like, oh, her hand brushed my knee. It's like, no, there's something crazy happening here. When they actually touch each other, there's this insane electric feeling, which is like cool. Like it's this really lovey-dovey way to do it, but it's like, it's a cool kind of like variation of that trope. Another one of the tropes that I really like in this book is learning from one another. So you'll find in a lot of animes, I feel like shonen anime, but that's also because that's kind of what I watch and read a lot of. But shonen anime have this trope of like the main character does this whole thing. My Hero Academia is a really good example of this, where people learn from one another. So it's not only that, like, if you don't know what My Hero Academia is, it's superhero high school, but there's like, essentially, for the purpose of this video, there's like a top 3 in the class. And in the top 3, it's like, oh, it's, you know, these guys are the main heroes. They're going to get all the spotlight and all this stuff. But there's moments later in the anime that are like, here are how these 3 characters have inspired the rest of the class. So all the side characters are now relevant. And it's this really nice trope of, it's not just their heroic actions, it's the consequences of their actions and how others have grown by watching these people work and watching these people tick. So some of my favorite parts, we're just going straight to towards the end here, but like what hit me really hard was when they were the two get separated. Yumi and Painter get separated. Their connection is severed. They're found out by the machine, by the agents, and they're trying to figure out these issues. They're trying to solve these problems. Now it's a little further in, but it's this concept of Yumi's way and Painter's way, and them looking at each other's ways and their ways of living, right? So from the very, very beginning, Yumi's way is like sincerity, a genuine self-introspection, this like genuine desire to help. Like you can see when Painter teases not just her, but like the things that she does, the spirits, her rituals and stuff. She actually kind of takes that to heart. But when he teases her, it's like, aha, you know, it's she can take that a little bit better. Painter's way is definitely more like decisions and actions, and even up to the very first chapter, second chapter, where Yumi gets introduced, Painter's way is this opposite of what Yumi's whole perception is. It's decisions and it's actions. At the very beginning, she's like, it's Yumi's 19th, it's like 19 days before Yumi's birthday. She's 19 years old. Today is a special day. Is it a decision for action? It is is it a day for decisions and action, for her to finally ask Leon to see if she can go to this festival in in the major city? And the second she lands into Painter's world, she immediately acknowledges this world is different. It's cold, it's dark, this is the land of heroes, the rules are different. And from that kind of sentence forward, this dynamic spawns between the two that is my world, my rules, which was really kind of fun and quirky in the beginning, where they're forcing each other to do their mundane practices of meditation or rock stacking or painting bamboo. And then towards the end, it culminates into this like, no, this is our world, our rules. We create the rules here. And that was beautiful to see. Getting into that just a little bit more, the whole investiture thing I thought was really cool. So this is getting into the whole more like Cosmere and soul casting and spirits and stuff. So one of the interesting things about, just a quick side tangent about the whole secret projects thing is I know they were initially Sanderson talked about them as, hey, here are these projects that I made as gifts. primarily to his wife. So shout out Emily for letting us see these beautiful creations. But Secret Project 3 is definitely more oriented towards the people who have read more into the Cosmere. So Tress was actually this beautiful book where like I could recommend Tress to anyone who hasn't read any of Sanderson. Plus it's one of his newer works, so the writing is really clean, the storytelling is beautiful, the humor is there, everything's there. It feels like great as a newcomer book. I know a lot of people like to recommend Mistborn. I feel like Tress is a good intro book now too. Yumi isn't quite as good of an intro book, and there's the reason I say this is because there's just so much there's so many little Hoid quips, there's so many little details that him and Design put into the story that like you will have absolutely no idea what's happening if you have not caught up to a lot of the rest of the stuff in the Cosmere. So that being said, the whole investiture thing is still really cool. It's a really interesting concept. So he takes the same concept from like Spren and like talking to the souls of objects and then convincing them to become other things, whereas like these spirits are realistically they were fake for the most part. They were fake, but it was still the same thing where it's like you're making a deal with them, which was really interesting to see. Okay, so I said earlier that this book is basically the Matrix, and yeah, I mean, dude, think about it. If this wasn't if this book was not hidden under the guise of the whole anime tropes and like Korean and Japanese influence and romance, holy crap, this thing is dark, like dystopian dark, like literally the Matrix. The machine is controlling everything. Like everything's screwed. Like no one knows what reality is. Everyone's like the Yokihijo. There's 14 girls. Think about that. There's 14 people. I think they're all girls, but there's 14 girls who are all. No, I think they're just people. There's 14 people that. Besides the point, who are all getting their memories erased every single day and have been reliving the same mundane day for 1,700 years. And it took 1,700 years for one girl to finally snap everything out of balance because she just got so fucking good at stacking rocks that she actually managed to steal a spirit away from the machine. A real spirit, not one of the conjured fake spirits that the machine had been creating as an illusion. Think about that. Like, it took 1,700 years of dystopian machine doing its own thing and spirits just wandering the darkness, or actually they become the darkness. That it took 1,700 years to break that spell, and that was incredible. And I love towards the end the whole justification of bringing in Painter. It's like he came back and he did something. He did the hard thing when he didn't want to, and that's why the spirit chose him. It was the first person he saw that was heroic enough and said, cool, good enough. And it wasn't like some crazy destiny like future sight thing. It was just like, this guy did the right thing, so we're gonna choose him. That's it. Cool. As simple as that. That spirit didn't even feel like it had much time to make that decision. Just go for it. Send it. Okay, Hoid's part in this book, it's really interesting compared to Tress. So in Tress, Hoid plays obviously a much bigger part. He's in the town, then on the ship, and in the story, and he's present throughout the book. And he's present as this really quirky narrator, always throwing these quips out. He's constantly making fun of people, and specifically the adults, and the way people always think that they know everything. And it's this really cool way to incorporate a narrator within the story while having the story revolve around another different character. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen my Tress and Little Prince thing, click somewhere here. Okay, cool. And in this book, Hoid has a pretty different role. So he's relegated to just narrator, yet he still manages to throw in a lot of tidbits about Roshar, about even I forget the world name, but like the Mistborn world, the stuff about investiture and virtuosity. There's a lot of like information that comes out of Hoid here, but his whole comedic everything is toned down quite a bit, which actually allows for Sanderson to write through Design a lot more, which I think was really cool because Design kind of just gets thrown into Rhythm of War. Keep in mind, this is from someone who is relatively new to Cosmere. I've read up to Rhythm of War. I'm on Wax and Wayne 2. I don't really know if Design is introduced in another book. more fleshed out. But in this world, in Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, in this world of I already forgot the world name, but this world allows him to really flesh out the character of design. In Rhythm of War, she's really just this kind of quirky, cryptic. And in this world, we get to see her as human. We get to see her learning things about humans. We get to see her imitating stuff in her eccentricity, her weirdness, we get to see her more fleshed out as a character, which I think is really nice and really cool. And one of the scary things, speaking of Rhythm of War, is this whole concept of like the whole Matrix thing. In Rhythm of War, spoilers, Odium, the new Odium, Taravangian, does this thing where he wipes out Hoid's memory, which freaked me out when I read this. I just finished Rhythm of War like a month ago, and it really freaked me out when he started wiping Hoid's memory and replaying this kind of action that Hoid was going through, and he was siphoning information based off of how Hoid was reacting and what Hoid would do based on the fact that he wasn't remembering certain things, that he was taking away memories and knowledge from Hoid and just studying him like this little test subject. Now, the machine isn't so much a shard. It's very much, like Hoid says in the book, it's a machine. The machine doesn't predict things. It notices things around it and then reacts accordingly, which, thank God, because if it was a shard, that'd be crazy. And yeah, the whole memory wiping thing, very dystopian, very Matrix-esque. And Sanderson does a really good job of overlaying and making it not too dark with this whole romance trope between Yumi and Painter. Okay, moving on. The Dreamwatch, Painter, and his friends. Shame is such a powerful emotion, and it's really cool to watch Painter navigate through this situation. And by navigate through it, I mean we get to see how Yumi navigates through it, learns about the whole situation, and then how Painter kind of reconciliates with him. It's the whole Painter's way versus Yumi's way. He finds this way back to his friends. Like, he needs to rely on people. He needs to show that he's being genuine, that he's being sincere, that he has this genuine desire to help the town and make sure everyone doesn't die. Like, he hasn't told the truth in the past, but it's the best way that the boy who cried wolf can actually convince the town that, holy shit, it's not only one wolf, there's 100 nightmares coming to raid this town, and we're all screwed if we don't work together. Also really reminiscent of early chapters in Tress, where Tress's dad takes matters into his own hands, where it's like favors were cashed in. Words were not spoken, but like understood. And a whole bunch of people ended up coming to the rescue. So yeah, the Dreamwatch, Painter, and his friends, the whole shame being shame is so powerful, and it took him so much courage to take that decision, to make that decision, to confront what he was and what he lied about, and to actually convince all of these people along the way to help him. Also, holy shit, I wasn't expecting the whole Dreamwatch reveal, but that also blew my mind. Like, that probably gave him a lot of confidence, but I like that he didn't end up using them as an example. I think that probably would have ended up like in a realistic example, that would have added to the boy who cried wolf and not taken away from it. I'm glad that Sanderson decided to write him into his own Yumi way of, hey, like, let's ignore all the bullshit. This is what's happening. I need your guys' help. Okay, cool. I've raved enough about what I loved about this book. Okay, so on to what I didn't really like. There's not much about this book I didn't like, let's be honest. I fucking love this book. But I finished it last night, and the couple of chapters towards the end where Hoid has to step in and explain a bunch of the stuff, the whole exposition and everything, it felt very... I don't know if there could have been a better way to do it. I don't know how I would have done it. I'm not exactly Sanderson. I'm not a super amazing author like him, and it just felt like there was maybe a better way to dump all of the exposition. But actually, while looking back at it, I think he did do a pretty great job of kind of breadcrumbing everything in. So what actually changed my mind was chapter 5, and chapter 5 alone. So it starts off with the nightmares had originally come from the sky. Painter heard the accounts. Everyone had. They weren't quite histories, mind you. They were fragments of stories that were likely exaggerations that were taught in school regardless. And it goes, one account read, I watched it rain the blood of a dying god. I crawled through the tar that took the faces of people that I had loved. It took them, and their blood became black ink. That was the words of a poet who, after the event, didn't speak or even write for 30 years. Yeah, after we learned about what happened, holy shit, that machine wasn't killing people, it was taking their souls and unraveling them. That's giga dark, like holy shit. Here's another one. Grandfather spoke of the nightmares. He doesn't know why he was spared. He stares at nothing when he tells of these days spent crawling in darkness. Imagine you're one of these people who actually manages to survive the machine unraveling the souls of everyone you know, and you have to crawl through the darkness, and knowing that this darkness, this inky black shroud, is the blood, the soul, the unraveled souls of everyone you used to know. That is severe trauma. That is past trauma. There's not even a word to describe how traumatic that could be. And yeah, he stares at nothing when he tells of those days spent crawling in the darkness, the terror from the sky, until he found another voice. They met and huddled, weeping together, clinging to one another. Although they had never met before that day, they were suddenly brothers because they were real. Oh my fucking god, that is crazy. Like, the whole, like, Yumi and Painter both thinking about, like, holy shit, is this real? Like, towards the end, Yumi has this realization. It's like, am I even real? Like, Painter has this thing where he talks to Akane, and she asks him, like, hey, like, you need to understand, like, we haven't seen you forever. Like, we're doing this deal where we're all going to sit on the west side of town. Like, you're saying 100 nightmares are coming. No one has seen you in a month. If nothing comes of this, you need to get help. And he sits there and he genuinely questions himself. Like, have I just dreamt all of this up? Is this just me being crazy? And it plays back into this trope of, like, can you even trust your own mind? And it blows my mind to think that way. Like the whole reality, what is reality? What is the Matrix? And then, of course, the last one, which is, it will take me. It creeps under the barrier. It knows that I am here. And it's just this machine searching for souls and investiture. Just feed itself. Like, oh my god. Beautiful. Beautiful foreshadowing, breadcrumbing. I'd completely forgot about Chapter 5, I'm not even going to lie to you, until I just randomly found upon it while looking at stuff in the book to basically find some of my favorite moments. So a lot of the stuff that I actually ended up bookmarking was the art. If you don't have the hardcover version of this, bro, look at this. You might be missing out, my friend. Find a library or something. Like, Aaliyah Chen does such an amazing job with this artwork. Like, this page even has that example. It's like, somehow this was real. The girl who was wearing a night dress identical to what he had on, this girl was real. He wasn't dreaming. Time was linear. Causality was in effect. It's like this, Sanderson sprinkles in this whole, like, trope of, like, hey, question your reality. Like, whew, and it doesn't even hit towards way till the end. Here's another, this is just another amazing piece of art. And so, shout out to the artists and just the whole concept of this whole Secret Project books, because it's really cool to see these worlds fully realized, to see these artists bring these Cosmere worlds to life. Because a lot of the time, you know, a lot of people say Sanderson's prose isn't the best, isn't their favorite, and I agree. Like, sometimes he could do a little better job of descriptors and world building, but he's getting better with time, especially with these books where he's forced to write in Hoyd's perspective as a narrator, and it's making his prose better. It's making his world descriptors a lot better. But these artists add this extra level to it, this extra level of, hey, like, you want to see what the world looks like? This is what it literally looks like through the eyes of these artists that are paid to make these canon pieces of art. And it is gorgeous. All the way up to, of course, the embrace. Oh, God. This hit hard. Dude, this hit hard. So Sanderson is so good at writing glory and moments, like these powerful moments of emotion. And I haven't really read Sanderson's other books. I know he's done romance in some other books. I don't think that Adolin and Shallan really have a super powerful moment like this, but this moment was the equivalent to like the Adolin and Dallin are like coming back from the battle and Sadeas's betrayal. It's like the equivalent of like Kaladin bursting alive with Stormlight, like unlocking his shard plate. It's like, but it's the romance equivalent, like the tight embrace, the kiss, like there was no way that this book was ending. Not a snowball's chance in hell that this book was ending, and I didn't see Painter paint Yumi back into existence. It said the end, and I was like, no, like the epilogue has to have this dude paint her back into existence. There's no fucking way that this doesn't happen. And the way he did it was so beautiful too, like the way he finishes his masterpiece, and then he like grabs her arm, the visual of him grabbing her arm from this dark inky black smoke, and she's 1700 years past and just pure investiture, and he just rips her back into physical existence. And it's this really beautiful, glorious moment of the two reconnecting. And Sanderson, as always, is really good at writing epilogues of like, hey, if you ever visit this world, just know, like, don't leak their story too much. The two just want to be together. It's a great time. They love each other, and just let them be, let them be happy. Overall, last night when I reviewed the book for the first take, I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'd kind of change it. I think this is a 10. I think it's a 5 out of 5. Not gonna lie. After I reread chapter 5, that convinced me. I was like, nope, this book is amazing. So yeah, that's it for Yumi. Watch out for next video. I believe I'm gonna do Alloy of Law. I'm also finishing So Good They Can't Ignore You right now. So if you are keeping up with what I'm putting down, look out for those. And if this is just me, future me, watching these for review, hello. Today is July 30th, 2023, and it's a hot summer day, and it's a good time. I just finished Yumi. Cool. See you.